courtesy of our friends at the DQs in Palisades, Nemeo, Newcastle, Westmount, and Baseline Road. This is a chance for you to bring the heat, to give us your hottest takes. We want to hear what you have to say, what all of Canada needs to say. It's the Flamethrower, presented by the DQs of Northwest Edmonton and Sherwood Park. I love this one from Lecky, who writes in and says, Jespo, I know that you haven't touched a lot on this. Yeah, but the latest issue that has me the most triggered is Calgary City Council's recent decision to repeal that much-needed single-use plastics bylaw after just 2 weeks, based on the drama and the whining of a few immature crybabies. Remember that picture of Danielle Smith with the Canada Dry Ginger Ale and the big straw coming out of it? Says, I've lived in Calgary for over 10 years. The city is blanketed with single-use plastic trash every single spring. And anybody who thinks that they're bringing their own bag or paying 15 cents qualifies as some sort of an injustice worth freaking out over truly lives in a delusional fantasy. Perhaps they will experience true injustice someday, like, I don't know, suffering from cancer caused by cellular-level microplastics? Lecky says, what hope is there for the future of the rich if the rich and privileged and entitled people of Calgary, Canada can't make even the tiniest sacrifices for planet Earth, for their children, for their neighbors? I commend Councillors Walcott, Penner, Cara, Mayan, and Gondek, the mayor, for having the courage to show true leadership and stand firm on the issue, and shame on the rest of council for their embarrassing flip-flop. All right, if you're a regular tuner to the Flamethrower, you know there's been this thing going back and forth between Real Talkers Kyle and David. Kyle wrote in about a town hall he was at about the Alberta pension plan, and he talked about this whiny baby. He called him an NDP plant. He suggested the NDP put this guy in the room, this young kid, to turn the tide. And then we heard from David, who wrote in and said, I was that NDP plant, but I'm not a plant. Listen to last week's Flamethrower if you want to hear it. And by the way, he said, baby, I'm 19 years old. Well, we got one back from Kyle. And before we go any further, I want to say we're not turning Flamethrower into some tit-for-tat back and forth where the two of you can argue all month long, unless it continues to entertain us. So this from Kyle, back to David, the baby NDP plant, but not really an NDP plant. He says, I happen to hear David calling me out on the show, and I feel, Ryan, like I deserve a chance to respond. Okay, Kyle. He says, David, yeah, that was me. And yes, I was talking about you. As someone who was volunteering for the NDP at the Ardrossan Town Hall, you were the plant. You were working for them. But no, you're not the baby I was referring to. There was like an actual physical baby in the place. Okay, Kyle. He goes, now I get it. You're 17 years old. I commend you for jumping into politics at a young age. Hey, David, I commend you for listening to Real Talk at 17. Smartest guy in your class. Kyle says, I started in politics when I was 14, 10 years ago. Kyle's 24. Says, I was working in the Model United Nations, volunteering for the PCs under Stephen Harper. You mean the Conservative Party of Canada, of course. He says, I will always call people out, like Take Back Alberta, and like radical conservatives, just like I'll call out elitist liberals who don't have any real idea how the world works. But I especially love to call out people whose opinions are based solely on feelings and have no merit behind them. And I hope you will do the same. Actions speak louder than words. I challenge everyone, every Real Talker, says Kyle, to think long and hard about why certain people believe what they do. And let's try to be less polarized. Okay, Kyle, that's it. And this one from David, who says, Jespo, I've been giving some thought to a matter that's increasingly relevant in our conversations today, the privilege of free speech and the importance of engaging in open debates involving those, including what some might consider bad ideas. In many parts of the world, the right to openly discuss and debate various viewpoints, including controversial or unpopular ones, is severely restricted. This reality starkly contrasts with freedoms we enjoy, where we can explore a wide range of ideas in our discourse. But this freedom isn't just about expressing polarizing or popular or even widely accepted opinions. It also is about our ability to confront and debate ideas that are deemed unconventional or even challenging. Says there's the growing tendency in some circles to shut out conversations deemed uncomfortable or offensive. And while it's critical to maintain respect and consideration, it's equally important to remember that progress often comes from grappling with difficult and diverse viewpoints. Amen, David. He says engaging with what some might call bad ideas is essential, as it allows us to understand them, refute them with evidence and reason, and strengthen our own arguments. This process is vital in a healthy, dynamic society. Without the freedom to challenge and debate all kinds of ideas, societies risk becoming echo chambers where innovation and critical thinking are stifled. He goes on to say, as individuals privileged with the right to free speech, it is our responsibility responsibility to talk about this. We can help promote a culture where every voice is heard, every idea is given its due consideration. He says, I would love to hear Real Talkers' thoughts on this. How do we balance the need for respectful discourse with the necessity of engaging with all kinds of ideas, even those we strongly disagree with? How can we use our privilege of free speech to foster a more open and thoughtful society? David, my favorite email of the week. Thanks for writing into the flamethrower to talk@ryanjesperson.com. We accept your emails 24/7. And of course, all of this presented by the DQs of Northwest Edmonton and Sherwood Park. Friends, we'll see you Sunday at the Cabin on Jasper Avenue for the Super Bowl. Go Chiefs, go Taylor's boyfriend. And we'll be right back here live Monday, 8:30 Mountain Time or later on demand.